Trump administration officials are feuding with each other over a possible treatment to coronavirus. Now, this is according to a report in Axios. You had White House trade official Peter Navarro going up against Anthony Fauci. Now, Anthony Fauci is the nation's top infectious disease expert. And basically, what they were fighting over is the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine, right? Or chloroquine. And so they're fighting over the efficacy of the drug and whether or not they should continue to, the administration, President Trump specifically, should promote it as a treatment or a cure for, or well, at least a treatment for coronavirus. So now Navarro accused Fauci of opposing the administration's ban on travel from China. This is during the fight after Fauci cautioned against the administration promoting the use of hydroxychloroquine to treat the coronavirus. So this is what Navarro said, quote, "You were the one who early on objected to the travel restrictions with China." Okay, but what does that have to do with anything else? What does that have to do with this? Especially since that's literally fake news, right? Because according to the report, many in the room were confused at that, since Fauci was one of the initial few to agree with Trump on the move. So, wait, Fauci was like, yeah, we should do a travel restriction from China. And Navarro's like, how come you did not support that travel restriction from China? That's why you're wrong about chloroquine. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. And look, I actually agree with the Trump administration's travel restriction on China. It makes sense in a global pandemic. It just does. And so, sure. And here you have a medical professional, Fauci, praising that during a press briefing on March 12th. So that's just factually incorrect. Now, that said, the entire argument here is about the use of hydroxychloroquine as a treatment for coronavirus. So right now, we don't necessarily know if it's an effective treatment. Now, it could be. It could be proven by studies, sure. And in that case, we'll have at it. Go and promote the hell out of it, right? That's great. Let's use it. The problem is the science hasn't quite come in on it yet. And Fauci himself has said, look, it's not a proven fact that it's effective yet. Now, they are using it on patients in New York, right? And so far, the people that are administering it to patients in New York are saying, look, we still don't really know if this works. I mean, we've got some anecdotal evidence, but we really need more trials. We need to work with this for a while yet before we have a definitive answer. Trump says, no, it works greatly. I mean, here we go. This is on Sunday. He said, and this is Trump in a press briefing. He said, hydroxychloroquine is a great and powerful anti-malaria drug, and there are signs that it works on this. Some very strong signs. It's very strong, right? Still anecdotal, right? And worthy of more study and investigation. Now, Trump also recommended combining that hydroxychloroquine with an antibiotic, right? So look, I'm no doctor, right? And neither is Peter Navarro, by the way, or Trump. But antibiotics treat bacterial infections. This is a viral infection. Doesn't that quite work or not work? I mean, but nonetheless, Trump says, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Well, there are other experts saying it's possible you could lose your life, especially if you accidentally confuse hydroxychloroquine with chloroquine, which is a fish tank cleaner. So there's a real problem with this, right? And look, the thing is, we don't know the effects. We haven't studied this. We don't know side effects. We don't know what's going to happen, right? Especially if people start combining drugs randomly based on what President Trump says. Medical professionals are saying there's no evidence yet that this works or that it prevents the transmission of COVID-19. And that's the other thing. Trump says, well, you could take this beforehand and you might not even get it. Now, think about this. What would that get people to do? Obviously, they would take it, right? And not need it, because there is also a need for lupus patients, for example, and other, autoimmune disorders. People would take that to manage those conditions, which are no longer available. You have people taking this now, and they think, well, I'm fine. I'm protected. Trump said it's going to prevent me from getting and spreading the disease. So now I'm just going to go out into the general public. Wait, you're going to go out into the general public, get it, because some people are asymptomatic, right? But can still spread the disease, and you've made it worse. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so I would say that right now, until we have the facts, I would just ignore the rantings of an orange lunatic. That said, Navarro is strictly with Donald Trump on this, and he thinks that he is more qualified than Dr. Fauci, and this is what he said on Face the Nation.
So why is Dr. Anthony Fauci, the lead infectious disease doctor in the country, wrong about this, in your opinion?
Sure. I let him speak for himself, John, but I would have two words for you: second opinion. And in terms of the studies that exist, I think you would grant me that there are numerous studies on this which show preliminary therapeutics.
I know three. Hang on, Peter.
John,
Peter,
hang on.
I have to ask a question. I let you go to 4 points in the beginning. I just want to follow up. You're saying a second opinion here. What are your qualifications to weigh in on medicine more than Dr. Anthony Fauci? Why should we listen to you and not Dr. Fauci?
Well, let me suggest, John, that later in the day you have William Grace on, another famous doctor in the city of New York. He can talk eloquently about this. But John, there's doctors disagree about things all the time. My qualifications in terms of looking at the science is that I'm a social scientist. I have a PhD, and I understand how to read statistical studies, whether it's in medicine, the law, economics, or whatever.
I'm sorry, that doesn't qualify you to treat patients. You know it doesn't qualify you to treat patients.
John. All I'm asking for you.
John. What was that? That's literally how they treat the media. No, those were tough questions. It was actually fair, because he's literally saying, okay, well, you're saying this. Dr. Fauci says that. What are your qualifications? You're obviously not a doctor. Well, I'm a social scientist. So, social scientist over infectious disease expert. I know more than he does, because I've read the studies. For what you mean, from actual scientists? Look, again, there is some anecdotal evidence that this could be effective, but you have to do more study. You actually have to do a long-term. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people are, obviously you're in a rush, right? Because people are dying, and this is disastrous, this economic shutdown and all that. But unfortunately, science don't care about your timetable, right? You have to do significant study from this and significant testing in order to figure out if there is an efficacy for this. And so for this drug and this drug combination. And unfortunately, we don't have that data. But nonetheless, right? He's saying, well, I know more than he does, because I think he's wrong politically. Stupid. Having a PhD, by the way, in social science does not make you a doctor. Having a doctorate doesn't necessarily make you a doctor. Look, for example, Dr. Jill Biden, right? She's Joe Biden's wife, right? She has a doctorate, right? Dr. Joe Biden. Well, obviously, she must be a smart medical doctor. No, she's not. She's actually got a doctorate in education. She's not a medical professional. And the reason I bring that up is because Whoopi Goldberg, right? Whoopi Goldberg said, oh, she would just make a fantastic Surgeon General. No, she wouldn't. She's, again, has a doctorate in education. But I use that example, by the way, to point out that there's ignorance on both sides involving this. No, listen to the doctors, man. Just listen to it, right? And look, Peter Navarro can read statistical studies. I can read statistical studies. It doesn't mean I'm more qualified than Peter Navarro, right? It definitely doesn't mean that I'm more qualified than Anthony Fauci, because we're not experts on infectious disease. So I'm sorry, I'm going to defer to the actual experts here, and more importantly, the evidence so far. And right now, again, there's not enough evidence to show that there is effectiveness of this treatment in coronavirus. So now one more thing here, which is just fun. Apparently the situation had came to a head, right? It got a little heated. Now, an official who spoke to Axios said the incident involving Fauci and Navarro, this was behind closed doors, was very unusual. Quote, there's never been a confrontation in the task force meetings like the one yesterday. The source familiar with Fauci and Navarro's dispute told Axios. People speak up and there's robust debate, but there's never been a confrontation. Yesterday was the first confrontation. My guess is that Fauci had enough, right? Again, there's only so much that you can take when you're the one who is arguing caution, right? And arguing the facts, and you have people around you that are idiots, that are clowns, right? And so at some point, you're going to snap and go, no, God damn it. No, you were being stupid. That is not what the science says. This is what the science says. And it's just, right now, it's not an effective treatment, and we need more study. Get that through your skull. But Trump is the most clownish of the clowns, right? Peter Navarro was clown, right? And a lot of them are around Trump are clowns, right? But Trump is the clownish of the clowns because he goes out and says, "Oh, it's absolutely fine. In fact, it's fantastic. It's great. It'll protect you." No, complete and utter lies, pseudoscience, completely wrong. But while Trump is the clown of clowns, don't forget that around him, he's got this. He's surrounded by little clown cars filled with people like Peter Navarro. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We've got more stories here. We have Wisconsin. What is going on in Wisconsin? It is an absolute mess, but there is some good news. So we'll do that, and then we'll talk about Joe Rogan and that whole unfortunate thing. So I'm pretty sure I'll have people mad at me from every single side, but that's no different than every single day. So stay right here, like and share the stream, and we'll be back with my very controversial opinions around the nation.